G'day, this is Bron. Just thought I would show you some more of my macros that I use a fair bit. Right now I'm in a follower dungeon, so these guys will stand around and wait for me. If you're not sure how to join a follower dungeon, it's just up here, Dungeon Finder, Follower Dungeons. You can pick the specific one you want or pick multiples if you don't care what you get. The game will decide. So the first one I want to show you is my lifebloom macro, because it's essential to keep lifebloom up, and I've only got the talent to bother with keeping it on myself. I am not putting it on two people anymore. That talent can suck a dick because it's a massive pain in the fucking ass. That macro will cast Lifebloom on myself. Doesn't matter who I'm moused over at the time or who I've got targeted, it will always cast it on myself. And I'll show you how over here. Pretty simple. /cast at player. Spell name. The player is you, obviously. Now the next thing you can use, which I used to use a fair bit in Brackenhide, is /cast at focus. And for me it was soothe. Because there was one of those guys in Brackenhide that would spin around and you had to soothe him pretty quickly, I would ensure that I had him on set as focus as soon as we got anywhere near a pack that had one of them in it, so that I could keep an eye on him. And his cast, as soon as his cast bar started coming up, I would watch him and his cast bar. And then as soon as it hit and he was started spinning, I would hit my hotkey, which would cast soothe on my focus target. So again, it didn't matter what I was moused over or what I had targeted, it would cast it on the focus target. Another handy one to have is at party. At party 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then the spell name. So that will cast your spell specifically on whoever is in that party slot in your 5-man group. My particular UI, though, is set to have tank, healer, and then DPS. So party 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me is not in the right order. So if we jump back over to here, I've made one here with just rejuve because there's no cooldown on it. I go to macros, my tester. So at party 3, just happened to be number 3 on the list there, but if I go back to party 2, save, it was this person. Party 1, by pure ass, happened to be the tank. Party 3, we did. Party 4 was this guy. So they were a little bit mixed up in the middle there. If your frames are set up like mine and you want to use this, it might take you a few seconds to suss out who's who. But it is really good if you're on your pally or a monk and you need to cast like a freedom on someone, or the monk one, which was Tiger's Lust. And it's the same person every time that you're going to cast it on. That's handy to have. You can do a macro that says /cast at the player's name, but that's going to be difficult if they've got special characters in their name and you don't know how to type in their special characters. So doing it at player in whichever number they're assigned to is pretty good for that as well. Another handy macro I have, which is another mouse over, is for my nature swiftness. I've got it set to, because with nature swiftness, it makes a couple of different things instant cast. I've set mine to be instant cast for my regrowth. And I've got 2 charges of it in my talents. And the way I did that is with this. So /cast nature swiftness. Because nature swiftness does not trigger the global cooldown, the macro will cast another spell immediately afterwards. And that is at mouse over help, regrowth. Now, even though it classes itself, it says that it's instant cast, and it is when you look at it and watch it happen, but it will not work if I'm moving. So if I'm running around and I hit that, it doesn't work. like a standstill. And if you happen to mess up and you do that, the instant cast option is still there. You've just got to stop moving, press your regrowth separately, and it'll pop up like I did there. But for some reason, you can't do that moving. You just got to remember to stand still, hit your macro, and you're golden. Another option you can have with this, there's 2 spells in that. And because Nature's Swiftness was the first one, the UI shows the icon for Nature's Swiftness. But if we go back to WoW here, there's no tooltip. It just shows in the bottom corner there the name that I gave it, because the UI doesn't know what it is. So, but if you want to see the tooltip, which I do for other spells, all you got to do is type this at the top, hashtag show tooltip, which is go back to my WoW, chuck her in there. I want to change it. Save. And now we have the tooltip in the bottom right corner. If you're like me and you tend to forget a lot of little details, I like to have that tooltip in there so I can double check what the cooldown is for something. Or if it's a cleanse, I like to double check exactly what I can cleanse, because I play a bunch of different classes and they can all cleanse different things. I cannot remember who does what. Now, speaking of global cooldowns, your racials don't have a global cooldown either. So you can build them into a macro to use with certain spells, which I have done with berserking, which is a troll one. Increases haste by 10% for 12 seconds. I built that into my tranquility here. So if we go back to this one, it's easier to see. That's what it looks like. Cast berserking, cast tranquility. And because I'm not casting it on anyone, I don't need the at mouse over, the at player name. I don't need anything like that at all. It's just straight up /cast, spell name, cast, spell name. When I'm in Guardian spec, I have a macro that builds that berserking racial into my incarn, Guardian of Ursot. There's a lot of things you can do with that. And there's another one, another option I could show you here, at mouse over or at target. So I tend to use this one mainly for offensive spells. Don't have a silence on my Druid, but I do have this on my Pally. It's silence. It's called Rebuke. So let's pretend I'm on the Pally. You should /cast out my mouse over half, and then straight after at target palm, rebuke. So what that does is it will prioritize the mouse over. So regardless of what I have targeted, if my mouse is over an enemy, it will prioritize the mouse over target when I hit my hotkey for that. If I already am targeting the thing that I want to rebuke, I've just got to make sure my mouse is off to the side and I'm not hovering over anything, and it will instead silence the target. Now, the mouse over interrupt is a bit of a pain in the ass on the Pally because we have to be at melee range. So there are occasions when I'm not quite facing the thing properly. They might be a little bit to my side, or I'm not close enough to them. So the mouse over isn't great, but it's still there as an option. If there is a priority target, you don't want to muck around with changing your target. You can just use your mouse over in that case. That would work a lot better for ranged, like hunters and mages, stuff like that. Another handy macro is /cast at cursor. So anything that needs to be placed. So Ursol's Vortex, Ring of Peace, that Pally one, that drops the golden shit down in a area. Can't remember what it's called because I don't use it anymore. Anything like that. If you don't want to waste time with specifically clicking somewhere on the screen, if you use this macro, it will cast it wherever your cursor is. So just make sure that your cursor is where you want it to go before you hit your hotkey. So my Ursol's Vortex is the normal way. I haven't changed it because I don't want to, but if I did want to, it's pretty simple. Just go to new, Ursol / cast at Ursol's Vortex. So if I put that there instead, cursor's up here, and it's dropped it there straight away. Another handy mouse over thing which I've just started using recently is built in the Blizzard UI options key bindings. If you go to click casting here, so I've already set my overgrowth as my left mouse button and my wild charge shift left, and my wild charge is shift right. As you can see in here, they're glowing, the ones that you can use to set. So if you want to set another one, you just pick the spell, hold your mouse over it, and then press the combination that you want. And make sure you hit save. So my wild charge, for example, this won't work on people like that. It only works on the party frames. So if I'm in a bit of a pickle, let's just say that I've got aggro back here and I need to get to the tank. I hit my hotkey, which is my shift right click, and it's flown me to the tank. It's got a pretty short range though, so it's not perfect, but it's an option that wasn't there before. And obviously my shift left is my overgrowth, which is really handy in Battlegrounds. And I think that's about it. So have a play around. Got any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching.